is your 2-minute warning. 2 minutes remaining in your warm-up. In addition to having cell phone, please turn into the silent mode. The players are susceptible to stray noises while they approach. In addition, the tiled area is the field of play. We ask that you not enter the field of play at any time. And Bolt TV will handle all live streaming responsibilities for our competition this year. You may not live stream on any social media platform at any time. Right, players, as soon as the arrows come up, we have a full active things to begin your third round. Bowling fans, how about a great send-off race squad here? Thank you and good luck.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Bowl TV. Once again, my name is Matt Canizaro alongside Jason Thomas, Curtis Von Kruger. We are here live laneside at Samtown Bowling Center in Las Vegas. It is the final day of qualifying at the 2021 USBC Senior Masters. One squad is complete. 2 more to go until we know the 63 players joining defending champion Amleto Monacelli in the 64-player double elimination match play bracket. So unique format here, and things change a little bit strategy-wise tomorrow, but still have to get through today. And we see some players in the standings who are probably okay to feel comfortable that they're going to advance. All pinfall will drop once we get to the bracket. So the goal is to get there. So we'll see some perhaps trying some things as they get comfortable on this 40-foot oil pattern, as if they're not already, but maybe trying some different things, getting ready for match play tomorrow. Others are going to be fighting their way into the cut number, while others are going to be doing their best to hold on and stay in there. So all the scenarios, we'll have it for you as it unfolds here at Samtown. Let's go ahead. You see the bowling. We'll introduce some of our players. We'll talk about the standings and some of the scenarios. Jason Thomas, come on in.
Well, hello and good afternoon, Matt Canizaro. How are you?
I am doing very well. Having a good time talking to some of our players, some familiar faces and some newcomers to the spotlight. So it's been a great variety, been able to tell those stories. I think we've got a nice one to tell later today in our daily recap about one of the players who was out and now is in. Great storyline there, and we'll spill more about that as we get going here. But a lot of players coming in, fighting for life here at Samstown, and manning up in the situation. So we're going to see that happen more as things get going here. Again, just one squad done, 2 to go. So really, so many things can happen.
Yeah, we've got 2 players who are in good shape here going into the final day. Eric Adolfson on 21 and 22. He is at plus 56 going into the final day, so really just needs to avoid disaster, and he'll be in the top 64 for the bracket starting tomorrow. Eric, a former champion on the PBA Tour. And Ron Mohr also starting the day off in good position. He's at plus 130. So again, just really, as long as he can avoid disaster, this could be a day where he has the opportunity to kind of get a look at maybe what he's going to see in some of the matches that are on the burn, because we do have a lot of matches on the fresh, but as the bracket goes on, you will have to be forced to bowl on pairs that have been bowled on previously. So Ron going to get a chance to look at kind of the middle of the road pattern here today. But folks that are crossing with those 2 guys have a lot of work to do today. Mike Diaz, he is 177 under starting the day, so he's going to need, a huge day. Certainly capable of it. PBA 50 Tour champion, so we know he can shoot some big scores, but he's going to need all of his skills working together this afternoon. He's going to be sticking around for the match play. We've got 32 lanes of coverage here on Bolt TV, lanes 7 through 38 in the building. Anybody else who's not currently on the featured pairs, we will have on live scoring. So you can check out live scoring. There's a link in the chat, and just toggle one tab to the right. All of the tournament information, current standings, live scoring, oil pattern, everything you'd want to know about this USBC Senior Masters contained in that link. But you can follow along with your favorite players, either live on Bolt TV or on live scoring. That hasn't really moved. It's currently -5, which about where we started the day, and really it's kind of been there all week. -5, and don't see it moving all that much as we go through the day, but the players are the ones that are going to move up and down around that cut. One of the more stable cuts you'll really ever see. And part of that is the pattern stays the same all week, and the players are moving squads, so there really hasn't been an advantage to being on one squad or the other. Pretty much every squad has played consistently day to day. A has played, the fresh has played the same as the fresh on day 2, day 3 as well. And so this is the middle squad, and then we'll have our double burn squad come on tonight. That'll be the B squad. Then we'll have to see if we have a roll off. That's been something that we've seen quite often in Masters, both in the Masters, the Senior Masters, and the Queens. That last qualifying spot, we've seen lots of ties. That's an exciting proposition here at the Senior Masters, because basically if you just get in the top 64, you're as good as leading.
Well, JT, who's not going to be in a roll-off? It's going to be Walt Blackstone. burst onto the scene this week. Just absolutely blasted down the door and came in and said, hey, look at me. Had another great day on the lanes today. 132 over and got to the overall lead of plus 421. So he is locked in and used some of today to start getting ready for match play. He got to the point where this was his first opportunity to see the fresh this week in qualifying, and that's what they'll see, of course, during more rounds of match play than they won't. So having a good look and getting comfortable and trying some different things. And he said there were some peaks and valleys today, and the peaks were, of course, just very similar to what we've seen all week. And then the other was him trying some different things, hooking at spares maybe that he wouldn't normally, just to get a feel for the pattern and what it would give him and what the flexibility was. And so he learned in some cases absolutely what not to do. So even though he was 132 over, maybe it could have been 160 or a little bit more. But I think what he learned was worth giving up those few pins, perhaps, as there was no fear. As you said, once pinfall drops, we have 64 leaders heading into match play, and then with this field, it really doesn't matter. Of course, you're probably going to get somebody who's super talented, of course, because, well, you're the 64 best players of the week. So at that point, I don't know that he's too worried about who it's going to be. He's going to give it the same effort no matter what, but able to learn some things today and is your overall leader. And Tom Hess still going to have to do some work to get ahead of Walt. But again, both players feeling good about their chances and looking ahead toward match play.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's been said about this format that, you know, in one respect, it can be the easiest tournament to win, but it can also be the hardest because you just don't know who you're going to draw in that bracket. You have to assume that at some point you're going to have to face the Chris Barneses and the Amleto Monacellis and the Norm Dukes and the Pete Webbers of the world. But you know, going in, that's what you're here to do. So we'll have to see later tonight what Walt's road to the stepladder finals on Sunday might look like. He'll have to face in the bracket. I think the best piece of news that happened yesterday for the players that are contending for that lead was that the reward for leading is probably not going to be having to bowl Amleto Monacelli because he had a nice day yesterday to get himself into the cut. If he were to happen to miss the cut, he would be the 64 seed. So that's certainly an incentive not to lead the tournament if Amleto is your reward. But yeah, Tom's going to have to do a little work to pass Walt. Tom Hess currently second place. He is bowling on this squad, so we're going to see if he's going to be able to get there. He's going to need to shoot 78 over or better to overtake Walt as the tournament leader. We will also know where Amleto Monacelli will sit, whether he's going to be the 64th seed or earn something higher. He is currently in 22nd place after a nice block yesterday. Started with 258, 279 in his block yesterday to get himself well into the cut, plus 134, and currently 22nd place starting the day. So we'll have a chance to see Amleto here during this block. But right now, watching Eric Adolfson having a massive struggle out of the gate. Eric, we mentioned, former PBA champion, formerly from the Seattle area, now lives in Concord, California. And he started the day plus 56 and was on a 152 pace through 5 frames. Let's see if he can right the ship here in the 6th frame. It's a good shot there. So settling things down here. See if Eric can bail this one out. Ron Mohr off to a good start. He was riddling the pocket in practice. So on double 10-pin strike. See if they can add another double early on here on lane 19. And I'm getting word that we've got a big string of strikes to start the day. Someone you guys may have heard of. What do we got? Front 8 there? Matthew?
Looks like 7 so far, up in the 8th frame now. Pete Weber down on 29 and 30. He's been kind of quiet so far this week. We haven't heard much. But, generally, Pete being the showman he is, when you get into that match play setting, that's when he shines and the personality shines. It looks like he has delivered on number 8.
All right, well, we'll get over there in just a moment.
Could we have our first highlight of the Senior Masters?
All right, so we're going to switch over real quick to PDW. He's dicing them right out of the gate here. And here we go.
Weber 117 over coming into this final block, and obviously pretty comfortable here on the burn squad already. Got the front 8 trying to stay perfect. At 117, certainly not looking in any danger, but picking up another 80 or 100 pins here would be great for, well, I'd say great for the confidence, but it's Pete Weber. So certainly not something that he'd be lacking in. Weber up on lane 30, working on the front 8. Getting the momentum early. Can he get the 9th one? Of course he can. And we're joined in the booth here by somebody very familiar with that iconic backswing and that successful gentleman. We've got Tim Mack joining us here. And Timmy, doesn't look like you have much work to do right now, so thanks for dropping in.
Well, listen, I said yesterday if I was lucky enough, I was on yesterday with Jason and Curtis let me sneak in for a little bit. I said if I'm lucky enough to bowl okay, it's in a pretty big hole. I come back on and say, hey, we'll tell you what I did. And listen, it was a great morning. I had a pretty good game plan going in. I actually talked about it yesterday with Jason, and just super happy to be have an opportunity to be in the match play. This is I've always seen the Masters, like the regular Masters and the USBC Senior Masters. They're separate tournaments, right? The 15 games is the first tournament, and now every match is its own tournament. And I flew in this tournament. I flew in the day I bowled my first squad, which probably wasn't the best preparation, but I also couldn't bowl because of my shoulder issues. But I thought it was more important to spend time and watch my daughter play soccer. So, I don't want to miss too much of that. And I'm glad I did and was able to come up with the goods today.
Well, there's a plan in the works here to sit down with you a little bit later today and talk about some of what's been going on and the injuries and just coming out here with the opportunity to make a statement, much like Pete Weber is doing here in our opening game. But you mentioned the injury, and we'll talk about that, of course, and that being a big obstacle for you, and then, of course, how important your family is to you.
Sure.
And, being away so much, of course, when you can be there, taking advantage of those opportunities. And so we'll touch in on the U.S. Open and how that turned out for you.
Sure.
We saw the social post where.
Yeah, it was frustrating, man. I'll be honest with you. It was. I've never pulled out of a tournament in my life. I could barely even pick ball. Oh. And we're going to see Pete go here for the front 10 here. So I couldn't pick up my arm, and U.S. Open's got so much prestige and so much history behind it. And as the guy we're watching, Weber, how many times he won the Open? I think he's got 7 or 8 of them. It's amazing. So see what he does here in the front 9. Tim Mack, Black Cloud.
Well, terrific shot there, but the 10 uncooperative for Weber. But again, picking up 80 pins and or so with the spare here. Nice boost as we get into day number 3 and a little bit more comfort. Yeah. He's already 117 over, so not too much to worry about. But
I mean, listen, 140, 130 rears his head in a hurry on some of these players out here. I mean, I bowled a 130 earlier in the week, yesterday on day 2. I know Tony Mann is up there. He's bowled 140. Fortunately, I put enough good games together today. I had a great game plan and my mom is here. My mom actually, she knows my game really well. Obviously, growing up my whole life, and sometimes I'm an emotion guy, so I get going a little bit too quick, a little bit too fast, and sometimes you got to be reminded just to stay within yourself and speed under control. And she told me make sure today you stay within yourself and control your ball speed. Things will happen. And she was right. So,
certainly things happen for you. Unfortunately, we talked yesterday afternoon, and then I had to delete you from the standings last night. We only ran the top 100 with the news story.
Oh, that's okay.
You're just outside of that coming into today.
Yeah.
And now, you mentioned your game plan. You mentioned the urethane, and at this moment, you're in line for one of our little trophies, as you had the highest block on the first squad of the day today on the fresh.
Yeah, I don't think it'll hold up overall for the day. So
to get to plus 60, again, after 923 in your opening block on the double burn.
Right.
And then improving to even yesterday, knowing that you had to have a big score coming in today. And he got there, 137 over. Right now, 37th place, so middle of the way. It's looking really, really good for more bowling.
Yeah, I'm just I'm tickled pink. I got better every day, and with my injury that I have, I can't put the time and effort and work that needs to be put in. So I've got to learn on the fly while I'm bowling games. Luckily, we had 15 games this week for me to try to figure it out. And also, I think the better thing that I see is this tournament is always won on the fresh lane condition. You have to be able to win matches on the fresh lane. And my look got better, and my game plan and my bowling got better as the week's gone on. And that gives me an awful lot of confidence going into the matches, which is exciting. I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, now we had you guys on the last 2 games today, and I feel if you went through the roster for this week, 223 players, it might be hard to find a better cross than you and Michael Haugen and Jay Nephew.
Yeah.
Um,
Thank you, USBC.
and now, as far as you guys, almost working together, pushing each other, I don't know how many other pairs are going to have all three guys making the cut. Jay was in it up until
Last game.
the final game. He struggled a little bit, but those two guys play the lanes as straight as anybody you'll ever see.
Sure.
And then, you're able to be a little bit left of them. Talk about that. And was there any strategy or conversation? And does them playing out there, does that give you a little bit of missed room to the right maybe, and then help them because you're throwing your thing, give them a little bit of hold and contribute, along with, of course, the emotions and you guys pushing each other with the strings of strikes?
Matt, that's a great question. First off, when I first checked the squad list to see who I was bowling with, I was super happy that I got this amazing cross. You're talking about two world-class bowlers and world-class great people. Michael Haugen's been, in my opinion, I think he's got 8 total PBA titles. I think he's PBA Hall of Famer, in my opinion. He's got five on the regular tour. I think he's got a Player of the Year and 3 out on the senior tour. He's there every week. And he has to bowl. Actually, he battled a back problem, but he's starting to bowl better and come into his own. Jay Nephew's been, as you said, their styles are very similar, where how they play the lane very similar, where they go up the lane and they're straighter through the front of the lane. I made mention to this yesterday, Matt, that with Jason when we were talking in here yesterday, you have to go straighter through the front, and that was something that I took into consideration, and I said, the only way I'm going to have an opportunity in this event is if I cut my lines down and go a lot straighter through the front of the lane. And obviously those guys were playing over to the right part of the lane, and I knew that, and I could get an idea of what was going on with their ball reaction. And I think we played off well with one another. With my rep rate being a lot higher than those guys, my ball's going to change direction a lot more. So I've got to be smart in what ball do I use, to control the back of the pattern. In these events when there's a lot of oil at the end of the pattern, as there is in this event, it controls scoring pace. And also it places a premium on your angles through the front of the lane and speed control. And each day I got better with both of those, and I think Mike and Jay have a huge amount of respect for one another, and we also know each other for quite a long time. And it was a very comfortable pairing, and and we were all rooting each other on, and that's always a good thing, because there were times in the in the 15 games where I was 100 under. I was way down there, and and Jay was up there. Jay had an up and down day today. He's going to come up a little short, but Michael did what I expected him to do. He fresh lane condition, his angles are great to the front, and he bowled 120 over today. And I think us playing the same part of the lane, it helped a lot. It helped a great deal. And when you have that kind of respect for your competitors and playing and crossing partners, I think it shows through, and there's no question we had momentum going, especially over here on 19 and 20 when we got to the camera pair, where that was a big pivotal game for myself and Mike and Jay. Jay bowled 230 to get himself right back in the number, and I gave myself a little bit of a cushion, a little bit of breathing room, which is what you always want, in this event, going down to the deal. So Michael bowled great. Obviously, Jay came up a little short, but no doubt about it. If I look across the house, and you look at the crosses, I couldn't agree with you more, Matt. That was probably, I would argue, the best cross, that you could want to have in the house.
Folks, if you're just tuning in, thank you for joining us here on Bowl TV. My name is Matt Canizaro, joined by USBC Hall of Famer Tim Mack. We are watching Game 1 come to a close here of our second qualifying block of the day. Ron Mohr and Mike Diaz, two Super Senior Classic champions here on our feature pair, closing things out. Ron Mohr can get into the 240s with a solid 10th frame, and Diaz can get to 202 And these guys both, again, fighting the rest of the field to be among the top 64. They'll be headed to match play tomorrow. So a whole new mindset as we change gears. Tim, you've been around this sport and this event and all of the events enough. What are the next moments, the next stages like as you get ready, you formulate the game plan? Obviously, you had a great look on the fresh today with the urethane ball, but maybe looking at the numbers and what you saw, maybe that's not enough. Maybe you need something new, something different because, you came out of the gates 220. Maybe 660, 670 is not enough. Maybe you have a trick now to get a little bit more. What's tomorrow looking like for you at this point?
Well, I mean, you listen to the matches. You see who you're bowling. You find out who you're bowling, and you see how the lanes. Get an idea what your opponent's where they're gonna play and what they're gonna do, and then you make the necessary changes off of that. For me personally, I don't see my game plan deviating much from the part of the lane where I'm playing, because I think the part of the lane where I'm playing is where you need to be. The one great thing about these last couple of days is my hand has been gotten in a really good spot where I can get up the back of the ball and kind of tumble that ball end over end, which controls your ball off the break point. And I think that's been a really big thing for me. So that's allowed other balls come into play, Matt. So I've got some other choices for sure, to play with. And like I said, I'm extremely excited about the opportunity. 24 hours ago, I'm staring at 80 under going into the block, and people know in years past, if it was coming on the double burn, usually I wouldn't even be worrying about that because usually a lot of scores get hit there. But for me personally, I'm older, I'm more wise, and I was able to come up with the goods and come up with a great game plan.
All right, folks. Well, as we get transition here from game 1 to game 2, we'll have more great insight from Tim Mack. But the only way our Facebook friends are going to get to hear what Tim has to say is by joining us here on Bolt TV. So at this time, we're going to say goodbye to our friends on Facebook. Thank you for joining us and getting this look in to the USBC Senior Masters. We're going to finish the rest of the block over on Bolt TV. So if you'd like to hear what's going on and hear more from